ShunDerrick Powell is an intriguing player that has been highly productive in college and has a huge opportunity with the Eagles. A zero-star recruit coming out of high school, he went on to play for North Alabama, dominate in his first 2 years, and eventually transferred to Central Arkansas, rushing for over 1,000 yards in 3 of his 4 years in college. Standing at 5'7" and 175 pounds, he is not the biggest guy, but his speed and playmaking ability makes up for it. Rushing for 1,334 yards with 14 touchdowns, along with 36 receptions for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns receiving in 2024. Powell has consistently proven himself as a dynamic playmaker capable of contributing in multiple facets of the game, including special teams as a returner. Despite playing at small schools, he remains an underappreciated talent who still needs to prove himself. Having veterans like Saquon in the backfield to learn from is exactly what he needs for his development. Now let's break this player down and see what he could potentially bring to the offense. So on this play here, with a player like Powell, he is absolutely explosive and has that ability to take it to the house on any given play. You'll see him slice right through the defense, giving the defender a nice stiff arm, and he was off to the races. When you have players like this with the knack for making big-time plays, it makes things easier when it comes down to Jalen Hurts and the rest of the offense. So we're going to split it. So locking on this play here, just watching Powell, he's getting the ball and he's dipping it low. The thing is, when you're 5'7", it's so hard to be able to stop a player like him, finding ways to be slippery. So he gives that linebacker a nice stiff arm and creating that separation. And if you can be a player that's quick like him and can be able to get away from these guys with a quick stiff arm, that's how this player is going to be able to take that next step. Seeing green grass and completely torching this defense. And what's so good about this player, he was very consistent at North Alabama as well as Central Arkansas, being the most dynamic player on the team at both schools. And these are the things here that Saquon Barkley always does on the field, so it doesn't hurt to be able to find another explosive player that can do this as well. But seeing Powell ripping through the hole, using the quick stiff arm, and getting to the end zone was great to see by the dynamic running back. One of the things I really like about Powell is his excellent vision, footwork, and ability to capture the edge. He had 6 games this season with 140 plus yards or more, and plays like this demonstrates why he's such a difficult player to contain. So let's run it. So running this play here, they're giving him a draw play again. They were handing him the ball a lot out of that shotgun, but you could just see that this player is using great vision, and he has enough speed to beat that guy to the edge. And he's one of those guys that if you're going to be missing tackles, he has that ability to make you pay. But just looking at the movement from this player, cutting right and left and stressing out this defense. And I tell people all the time, it's not always about where you were drafted. There are talented NFL players now that have been putting in a lot of work. But he's going to be one of the players that's going to have to lock in and focus and prove it once these guys get to training camp. But seeing this player using his speed and capturing that edge quickly before the defense could get a hold of him was great to see by Powell. Here's a play where we see him using his patience, allowing the blocks to develop and slashing inside right between both defenders and burning the defense for a back-breaking play. We see a lot of this when it comes to a player like Saquon, and it's going to be exciting to see if he can bring this type of speed and athleticism to the next level. So let's run it. So running this play here, just watching Powell, just seeing the patience and footwork when it comes down to this player, not taking off too quickly, but using his vision to find a perfect time to rip right through. If you're not going to be a defense to be able to get your hands on this player, he will find ways to be able to stress these guys out. And he reminds me of a player like Tariq Cohen, one of those small, shifty players that's hard to get to. So he gets away from another tackle and gets in the end zone. And this is a player that did play a lot of lower level competition, but when you're looking at a player on film, you're studying his movements, you see the explosion. I believe that with his skill set, he can bring this to the next level, but he's going to have to lock in, focus, and make these big time plays once these guys get to training camp. But punt return, kickoff return is places where you can be able to utilize him as well. But seeing this player displaying good vision, being patient, and ripping through at the right time for a big time play is what we all like to see from a young running back. Not only is he dynamic carrying the ball out of the backfield, but he also has ability to make a ton of plays in the passing game. Now, I didn't see much of him running routes, but quick plays as well as screens are how he will be effective. When you do have players that's slippery like this on the perimeter, it can cause problems for any defense. So let's run it. So locking on this play here, he's lurking on that edge defender and gives him a quick thud. You got to help out those tackles because that 1 second could be the difference on the play. So he runs a solid out route, catches the ball, gets into position, and serves a nice juke. And you can just see the power from this player. So much good acceleration when it comes down to his athleticism and just finding ways to be slippery and break these tackles. And when you do have a player that can make these positive gains like this, it brings a better player out of guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. The list goes on when it comes down to all of these explosive players on the Eagles offense. So this ended up being another great play by Powell, chipping that defensive end and throwing him off guard. Catching that quick out pass and making a chunk play is how you make a difference on the field. Letting that entire defense know that you're going to be there all night. Here's another rep of him catching a quick dump off, serving jukes, spin moves, and making these defenders look silly. So locking on this play here, you see that he's winding up, getting that quick dump off, and making a nice move. And just seeing this player just move and just serve jukes like this is so awesome to be able to see, because not only is he using that athleticism, but his vision is on full display. But catching that defender with another stiff arm and using a nice spin move. And these are the plays here that you see on Madden when it comes down to this kind of talent. That's why I believe that being with the Eagles, I think that this guy's in the right spot because they are a team that knows how to utilize their players and put these guys into the right position. But to see a running back that uses so many skill sets on one play says a lot about this guy. But like I said on the first clip, he's going to have to lock in and prove it. But make sure you guys subscribe to this channel because we're going to be dropping a lot of Eagles videos, the drafted players, as well as the regular season. And you will not find better quality than what we do on these film videos. So make sure you guys tap in with me. But to see this player evading tacklers with a combination of elusiveness and contact balance was fireworks. When I played linebacker in high school, one thing I couldn't stand was going up against short running backs. When a player is under 5'8", they're low enough to hide behind the offensive lineman, making them harder to tackle, especially if it's shifty backs. You'll see him being patient and running in between the tackles for a positive gain. So let's run it. So locking on this play here, just watching Powell, just waiting for that tight end to pull to the right and build that wall. But as you can see, he's such a small player. It's so hard to be able to get around him, just making so many guys miss and getting those tough yards. Now, he's not a player at the next level that I would want running in between the tackles a lot, but I'm not saying that this player can't do it, but being a player that can be able to catch the ball, you can scheme him up in the perimeter, that's how this guy's going to be able to make his money. And keep in mind, he only is 175 pounds, so he's going to have to be schemed up and be that Swiss Army knife when it comes down to the offense. And a good thing about this player, he was a leader on and off the field for both of the schools, being the face on both teams throughout his entire career. So it's going to be exciting to see how this player is going to turn up once these guys get the preseason, because he definitely will have some opportunities. Powell's biggest weakness is his size when it comes to blocking. At 5'7", 175 pounds, he's much smaller than defenders he'll need to block in the NFL. Linebackers and defensive ends are usually 60 to 100 pounds heavier than him, which creates a big challenge. This size issue could limit when coaches use him, especially during obvious passing plays where he needs to help protect the quarterback. Even with good blocking technique, his size is still a concern. So we'll go ahead and run it. So locking on this play here, you see that he's stepping up. They are sending everybody on the defense, but you see that he attempts to engage in contact and completely turns his body. And usually if you're doing something like that, it will completely get the quarterback blasted. The entire defense got home, but it was crazy to see that from this player. And there are other plays where he engages in contact and the defender quickly disengaged because they were bigger and stronger. So running in between the tackles at the next level, they're going to have to monitor that and keeping this player away from blocking assignments once the Eagles are in passing downs. So in this final play here, Powell shows why he can be valuable to the team. He makes a great move at the goal line, cutting inside first, then keeping his balance to bounce outside for a touchdown. This kind of determination and ability to finish plays is exactly what the Eagle scouts wanted to see. So let's run it. So running this play here, he gets the ball, tries the knife inside, and bounced off 3 defenders. You got to have a strong lower body to be able to stand up from that kind of impact, but that just shows that this player was a big-time difference maker for this school and somebody who I think will make a lot of noise come preseason. He's with a championship team, and that could bring the best out of him. So it's going to be good to see how it all plays out come preseason and training camp. With this player, there is a lot of things that he can do on the field. He is absolutely a game changer and a player that can take it to the house on any given play. Competition will be ramped up at that running back position with Saquon Barkley leading the way, but you never know. Special teams could always be wide open because that is one of the positions that he has experience at. So it's time to get this thing rolling because we are getting close, Eagles family. So comment below and let me know what you guys think about Powell and who else do y'all want to see me break down just like this video. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification bell because the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you don't hit it, you'll miss on fire updates and the best football film sessions on YouTube. All right, Eagles family. Talk to y'all soon. Gone.